I started at a couple of smaller organizations, places that definitely are not tech companies. And at those places, you really have to do it all. You're doing back end and you're doing front end, you're deploying your own code, acting as your own designer. And that kind of threw me in the deep end and forced me to learn a lot of different things. And that was great. But eventually, I kind of realized I wanted to work with more engineers and more people I could learn from. So at that point, I ended up at VistaPrint, and it was really like a whole new world. There were so many senior engineers for me to learn from. I was able to focus on front end, which has always been kind of where I've been interested in. And I was able to take what I had learned previously, but doing it all and grew into a senior role there because of the membership of those that I work with. I spent about 6 years at Vista, eventually decided I was ready to try something new and moved over to VMware, where I joined a front-end platform team and eventually joined the design system team there. It's like a UI component library. And I really enjoyed the platform work there and kind of realized that I enjoyed helping other engineers be more productive in their jobs. So that helped me sort of focus on more of where I was interested in. There's a lot of changes at the company, and I needed to look for a new job. So I ended up returning to Vista, stayed in the front end platform space there, working with the design system team here at Vista. And I've realized that I don't actually want to be the one designing complex architectural systems. I really enjoy helping other engineers. So I think I can do that more effectively as a manager, and I've recently been switching into management to do that. So I think overall, by trying out so many different types of companies and roles and doing a whole lot of different things before boomeranging back to Vista, I've been able to identify what I like to do, focus my career. And I think overall, it's made me more well-rounded by having all that exposure as well. I recently came across this talk by Tanya Riley, and in it, she talks about this idea of mid-level engineers, usually women, falling into the trap of getting stuck doing glue work on their teams. And glue work is work like acting as Scrum Master during sprints, reviewing pull requests and design documents, facilitating cross-team collaboration, all of those things that are definitely technical leadership, but more on the soft side. And as a senior engineer, that's a key part of your job. I do those things all day, but as a mid-level, it can actually be a liability. So I've seen this happen a lot with women I work with, and they do all these things and they get great performance reviews and everyone loves them, but they can't get promoted. Their coworkers have all of these technical projects that they've designed and implemented, usually with a lot of support from her, and they're getting promoted, but she doesn't. She gets told that she's not technical enough, and she internalizes this idea and usually winds up switching into a different role or moving into management or something of that sort. Of course, we can and we should be recognizing those skills as technical leadership in performance reviews and promotion discussions. It's conversations I've been having with managers that I work with. But I always tell the women that I mentor and manage that if they want to get promoted to that senior role, they really need to have a strong technical story. And we work together to find a project or initiative that she can lead from beginning to end. So design it all the way through to implementing it, delegating the work, and so on. I think one of the things that Tanya, the original speaker of this talk, says is that if you get stuck in this rut, you should drop all the glue work, like let it fall, let your teammates pick up the work. Because if you're only doing glue work, you're only getting better at the glue work. But conversely, your teammates who don't do it actually probably need to work on those skills as senior engineers, because it's really important as a senior engineer. So that's something that I work with the women that I work with on improving those skills and focusing on those things and learning new skills to be able to get promoted. Hey, don't be afraid to take up space in a meeting or discussion. It can be really hard to speak up and share an opinion or concern. Sometimes it feels like you're rocking the boat, especially if you have others on the team who are very strongly opinionated. But one, you probably have a good idea or a valid concern, and two, you're almost certainly not being as objectionable as it may seem. So speak up, share what you're worried about, or share your opinion. And I think that helps you grow into that leadership role. You're not going to get promoted if you're sitting silently in a corner. And then I think possibly more importantly is also knowing when to pick your battles. So you need to be able to share those opinions and push for opinions when you feel strongly, but there are times and places where it's better to give in and go with what someone else thinks you should do. And something else that I wish I had done earlier in my career was find mentors outside of my direct managers. It can be helpful to have someone outside of your day-to-day work to learn from or bounce ideas off of, or make a decision that might be better for you, but isn't actually the best thing for your direct team. So uh, they can also help with that as well. And I think that's something I have now, but didn't have earlier in my career. I have team members in the US, Spain, India, and Australia, which can make collaboration really difficult. We try and work asynchronously as much as possible. So obviously on Slack, we write a lot of RFCs and compliments for other team members to comment on. Since you can't just pop into a conference room and whiteboard out a solution when you're working remotely and across time zones, this helps keep everyone in the loop and keeps the brainstorming going. We do have 2 biweekly planning meetings in different time zones, but we do all of the pre-planning for that asynchronously in a Confluence document. So we'll put what we're thinking of doing the next sprint, and team members will chime in with what they think is higher priority or how things need to shift. Um, what is really cool about the time zone thing is that if we're under a tight timeline, we can occasionally hand off work at the end of our day for someone else to pick up. So we'll do some triage on a bug, leave notes about it. Someone else will pick it up overnight or merge in your merge request for you. This can help reduce the cycle time a bit as well. Like you're not waiting 24 hours for someone to get back to you and to make a change and move things forward. For me as a manager, I try and have a set schedule. So I do all of my one-on-ones with Australia on Monday night, and I do early mornings on Wednesday and Thursday with my teammates in India. It helps me feel like I'm not working like 16-hour days, never ending. I can turn off my phone outside of those hours for the most part. I do occasionally try and check in on Slack just in the early morning or in the evening if my team members need anything, but I try not to respond unless it's necessary. And then when I do those things, I take that time back for myself as well. So it's very frequently means I'm logging off earlier on a Friday or taking an afternoon to hang out with my son. I was a staff engineer at VMware, and one of the key responsibilities of that role is to be working across multiple teams leading initiatives. I found it really hard to onboard effectively remotely and build the connections and network that I really needed as a staff engineer to be effective. It's hard to get buy-in on a project or initiative if the folks on those teams just don't know you. But I still had that network at Vista. It was easy to return and hit the ground running. I also missed the people I had worked with, and I missed the unique challenges that e-commerce faces. I wasn't as invested in a B2B company as I was in one with whom I've purchased products from in the past. VMware was also massive. It's this huge, giant tech company, but Vista's engineering org is about 400 engineers. So it kind of hits the sweet spot for me of large enough to have lots of unique challenges, but small enough to mostly know what's going on elsewhere in the organization. So overall, I'm really glad I spent the time away. It's helped my perspective to see how other companies do things or solve similar problems. And I've been able to provide, I think, different input and perspectives than I would have if I had never left Vista. Currently acting as an engineering manager for a couple different teams at the moment. It's been a big adjustment for me to shift towards delivering through others instead of doing something myself. But it's also incredibly rewarding to see my team members grow and deliver their own project or initiative with my guidance. I've been participating recently in a great leadership program that Vista is offering, and I have a few engineering management books in my to-be read pile that hopefully I'll get to at some point. But I'm also currently working on getting more organized and keeping notes of all of our one-on-ones and carving out regular career discussions to better support my team members' growth.